All right, welcome back. This is episode 19 of Balancing Chaos with
Kelley
and Gretchen. And today we're going to be talking about health and fitness and eating and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to let Kelley start first because she has a few... Oh, wait, I have a correction and then Kelley's going to start. Our podcast producer is my husband, Dave. And when he listened last week, he immediately texted me to remind me that he has been to Sugarloaf with us. He went last year. He went on a big long walk and he was surprised that I didn't remember, and I didn't. So I was wrong. He says he tries to come once a year, which is fairly accurate, but he doesn't, it's once a year and he doesn't ski. So maybe that's why I just forgot about it. Anyway, so I have to corrections corner right there. So now I'm going to let Kelley wants to clear the air about her food things that she wants to share. So go ahead, Kelley, you start.
Okay, so I feel like I've created a lot of confusion with my random comments about food and nutrition. So I want to clarify my food philosophies and where they all came from. I think I talked back in several earlier podcasts about how I was a nurse working on a cardiac unit, and I went to see an open heart surgery as part of my training, and the person that I observed was in his 30s, and it changed my outlook on health altogether. I always have been somewhat mindful, maybe since high school, but I grew up in a family where my mom, she loves mayonnaise, and she's healthy, but she's not exactly mindful of all the health related rules that I'm about to talk about. But so it's not like I grew up that way, but it became an interest of mine, and it's actually a hobby. I read nutrition books all the time. This is why I rarely read fiction, because I enjoy researching food and health and how food affects health. These are the philosophies I follow. And I also want to say that there was a time when I first became extremely passionate about nutrition that I was so severe that I had no wiggle room. So if I came over to your house and you offered me something that was against what I believed to be healthy based on my research, I would say, no, I'm not going to eat it. And I just wouldn't eat it. And then I realized after I took all the wellness coaching training that approach is actually quite dangerous for so many reasons, but one of them is that people who are extremists, if they don't have a real health reason to avoid certain foods, it's less encouraging to others around them to make positive changes, because it's like, oh well, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? Okay, so basically I try to follow the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time we all eat very healthy, but I will eat a whoopie pie or cake or something like that if I'm out.
Where was it? You just texted us all a picture of a whoopie pie. Where?
I was at a basketball game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was
a massive whoopie pie. Although I shared it with everyone around us. But I'm not against sweets and my kids, I let my kids go to McDonald's. So it's not that I'm an extremist in that way. Okay, so first and foremost, planning is one of our key, I really believe in. And what we do is it does take a while to make the menu and shop, but I always try to make a really easy lunch, even though it's an upfront investment on Sundays. We'll make like a huge soup or one meal, and then we'll portion it off into all the lunch. I have these Pyrex glass containers so that you can easily heat it, and they're all in our fridge. So when it's time to pack lunch, you just grab one, and then I just feel like that's it. Not only saves me money, but a lot of time, because I don't have to think, oh, what am I gonna have for lunch, and pack a lunch or buy a lunch, and also it's healthier. Okay, so I don't like any food additives. If you look on the back of the ingredients in food, you won't even recognize some of the ingredients that are in there. And, this is kind of extreme, but you wouldn't go suck the back of your tailpipe of your car. Yet, some of the things we ingest...
There was a long pause there.
Yeah. Some of the things we ingest are equally as harmful. And there's tons of studies about linking chemicals to precocious puberty and the way, hormones and that we feed animals so they'll grow faster than normal, and then we eat those and how it affects children's health. So I don't like food additives. I like to eat everything in its basic form. So food that came from nature, I believe, is great. But, things like fat-free cheese, if you ever look on the back of what it is, it's not even cheese. It says the ingredient will be cheese-like substance. Yeah, I'm not making this up. So I like to eat everything's basic form. So I don't like to eat foods pretending to be something they're not. Fat-free, a lot of times, is not actually food. It's just a whole bunch of sugar or chemicals recreated into something.
Right.
I primarily try to focus on plant-based diets only because I've read a lot about inflammation, and also just our food industry is so corrupt.
What about Chick-fil-A?
I love Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A. I think it's delicious. But again, I wouldn't eat there every day. I think that's a big key, is that anything in moderation is fine, but the primary basis of the diet, I try to do as much plant-based as possible. For meats, I do like to try to get locally sourced grass-fed. And because if you watch, there's quite a What the Health, if you watch that.
I haven't seen that, no.
Okay, In Defense of Food. This is a book. It really talks about our corrupt meat society.
Do you find it easy to find that here, even though we're in Central Maine? Is it easier because we're in Central Maine, do you think?
We have a lot of awesome farms around here, so you can get meat directly from them, and I am able to find this at Hannaford. The reason why I miss Whole Foods so much is because they do a lot of this research for you. So they have, I think it's 24 ingredients that they've banned from food that they won't even sell. If the food has this ingredient, they won't even, like high fructose corn syrup, they won't even sell a product in their entire store that has high fructose corn syrup. So I felt like it took a lot of the guessing.
I wonder if that changed when Amazon bought it, because I've been seeing posts like they're having empty shelves. Have you seen this stuff about Amazon's purchase of Whole Foods? They're finding empty shelves, and I saw one that was a display of the beer section, and it was all like Bud Light, Miller Lite, and it was it was not like local craft beers. It was
I'm surprised.
Commercial beers. So there's been a lot. So like the Whole Foods, I'd be interested the next time you go to see what the experience is like for you. But that was just I'm taking a marketing class, and that's one of the ones that came up. So
that's interesting. Well, I was just there last month, and the only difference is that they had Kindles and Amazon Fire tabs in the middle of the store, which seemed really odd to me. But I will check that out. That was one of the fear of among the Whole Foods lovers, is that Amazon was going to reduce the quality, because everyone argued about the cost, but part of the cost is because they really did aim to sell the highest quality food,
right?
Which is sad, and I think that's a fundamental flaw in our society and right now in the United States, is that our food and the way we regulate food and the food we sell and advertise and promote across schools, anywhere where people congregate, nursing homes, etc., it's not high quality, and then we wonder why we are among the least healthy nations,
right,
in the country, yet we spend the most on healthcare.
Right.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Okay.
I think I just did.
So I don't like anything with added sugar, like the fruit in syrup. It has probably 20 grams more sugar than just eating fruit naturally. That's one of my problems with school lunches, is that all the fruit is in syrup. So I try to avoid that. I don't buy anything with high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils. I try to reduce dairy. Just for me, it's really inflammatory, and I have negative health effects from it. I really love, it's actually fun for me to try to take a recipe and then swap out ingredients to make it healthier. And it's not about...
Do you have an example of that?
Like, I have...
That worked?
Yeah. Yeah, because I used to do this with bread. And my poor husband, he must have made this bread 20 times, and it was flat every time. He was getting so mad at himself. He was following the recipe to a T. And then one day I mentioned that I modify recipes, and he was so mad at me. He said, "Kelley, do you understand that baking has chemistry behind it?" And so it was my fault, because I think I took out I took out something that caused it to rise. It was something like it was like an egg in a baking powder or something. Anyway, but tons of stuff like heavy cream. I'll substitute for almond milk, and at first it's a shock if you don't eat this way. But for us, you don't notice. I don't notice any difference because we frequently eat. Like I only buy almond milk, unflavored, non-extra sweetened almond milk. And that's one, I mean, almond milk has so many health benefits. And then, of course, it's a lot less lower in calories. And it just doesn't have the inflammatory process like the effect like milk for me. I try to mostly drink water. We don't drink juice, although I have a confession. I've had to start buying organic apple juice for the kids' lunches because my son is obsessed with chocolate milk because all the kids drink it, and he really wants to have chocolate milk. He wants me to buy him chocolate milk for school, so I made a compromise with him because the orange juice, the apple juice has, the one I bought I think has 8 grams of sugar, but the chocolate milk is like 22. It's like your entire daily intake of sugar in one chocolate milk. So I have had to start doing that. Like we do things like for pasta, we have pasta, but then sometimes we'll replace it. Like last week I was talking about with like the spiralized sweet potato. You can also do it with zucchini, and that's really fun because it makes it more nutritious. We try to limit eating out because foods out have a lot more sodium, which isn't good for James's blood pressure in particular. I don't like anything with dyes, like red dye number 4, yellow dye, etc. I never buy anything with dyes in it. And this is why shopping until you know what products are good takes a while because you got to read all the ingredients. And then I really like to have cooked food. So like even cookies or anything like that, I make those all the time, but I cook it from scratch because that way you can control the ingredients. You don't have fake chemicals in there. And then in terms of organic, unfortunately, since we moved here, I've had to buy many more organic foods than I want to because they're so much more expensive. Typically, I just try to buy the Dirty Dozen. So there's a dozen foods that have the most chemicals. Like I know spinach is one of them and strawberries, for example. So I'll buy those in organic. But the rest of it, typically I'd buy non-organic because it's less expensive. But the food options here at Hannaford aren't as for all those other rules that I like to follow, like without dyes and added chemicals, etc. It's actually quite hard to find them without buying the product in organic. So I've actually spent more money moving up here at Hannaford than I was spending at Whole Foods. So it's a little frustrating, but it's all right. So, and then some books that are really great are food rules. This book is so easy. It'd probably take like 20 minutes to read. It's great common sense food. In defense of food, I already said that. I've read several superfoods books, which I find very interesting because it's all about the foods with the most nutrient benefits. So it's like you could eat an apple that probably has 400 health benefits, or you could eat 100-calorie pack junk, and you're going to be hungry in 5 minutes, and you're going to want to eat the whole box. Whereas if you eat an apple, you'll actually be satisfied, and it'll be giving your body health benefits. It's not about calories or weight loss. It's about giving your body health benefits and nutrition benefits to fight off disease and keep yourself feeling healthy and productive. Also, recently I read a lot on the Engine 2 diet, which is a plant-based diet. And that's a really interesting book. It has a lot of research about the benefits of plant-based diets. And we've even heard of recently stories of people with advanced cancer. And they talk about this a lot in the book with research, going to a plant-based diet. And in addition to the other treatments, medical treatments, have actually been able to reduce their tumor size. And I've heard that that oncology teams down in Boston are actually recommending plant-based diets. Of course, they can't go. It's controversial because they're not going to make money off people eating plants. This is where I get really irritated. So Engine 2 Diet, that's a great book. What the Health, which is on Netflix, which is an awesome documentary that kind of explains why I try to follow all these things. And then Environmental Work Group has a list of the Dirty Dozen foods with the most chemical pesticides. But I try not to be annoying about it. I know that some people probably...
I just picture you going through this like at like my friends who are servers, and they'll be like, okay, and they're like, okay, well, I have a dairy allergy. I'm just picturing you going like, well, I need to avoid red dye number 4, all artificial flavors, all artificial colors.
Yeah. So I don't.
When you go out, you're not like that.
I don't go out to. I don't do that at a restaurant. I just don't worry. But I'm not as. I used to be really strict about it because I was almost obsessed. But now I'm much more relaxed. Like I would eat nachos at a restaurant. I do try to avoid chain restaurants though because their standards of food are much lower because they're often less expensive too than, let's say, Novio, where we went the other night. I mean, that was real food, you know. So do you think I'm crazy?
I don't think you're crazy.
She's made fun of my kids' snacks quite a bit.
No, I haven't made fun of I made fun of the fact that they're shaped like an owl.
That was just for Christmas. And then, I'm going to do that for Valentine's Day too.
So was it just Christmas week that they had?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was like every day you'd come up with a new like food character.
Oh my gosh, no.
So she had. I posted pictures on the podcast, but it was like, and there was an owl, and then there was a Santa Claus, and there was a reindeer, and I was like, and so I actually posted and I said my kids had hot lunch, and it looked like hot lunch. So, some of those things we avoid. A lot of them we don't consider really. And so, for instance, I don't like fat-free stuff. So the milk that we have in our fridge right now is a jug of whole milk and a jug of unsweetened vanilla almond milk.
Yeah.
And we use the almond milk. The only thing I use it for is, and the only thing it's used for is for breakfast cereal for me or for Ingrid because she doesn't like real milk. So those are the milks that we have. And with butter, we have real butter, and we have it in a, you probably don't use much butter because you avoid dairy, right?
Yeah, I do try to avoid dairy, but it's just for me. I'm not.
Well,
we do use real butter. So
one of the things that always bugged me about real butter when I didn't use real butter and I would use spreads is just that it was always so hard and was hard to spread. But I'll add this, and it's not my favorite thing this week, but I got a butter bell. Have you ever seen a butter bell?
No.
So you pack the butter in and you put cold water on the bottom and you flip it over and it sits in the water and it keeps your butter perfectly spreadable at any temperature, and you leave it on the counter. And
I
then
gotta get one of those.
And it's awesome. So it's like perfectly creamy spreadable butter, $8 on Amazon. And so it's real butter. I don't choose organic. I don't look for organic. I know that I end up with organic stuff. Like at BJ's, the spinach that we get for our salads only comes in organic. And the big boxes at Hannaford are only organic. So that's when I buy them, but I don't choose them. But my sister, like you and my sister would sit together and be like, oh my God. If you and my sister went through my cupboards, you would be like, I can't believe you're still alive. But
no, I've thought that before about so many people. And it's not judgy, but I'm like my dad's house. Sometimes I go there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're just going to collapse on me because some of the food choices are just, and it's not about weight. I think that's the most important point. It's not about calories. I don't care how much you're eating, but it's just the quality.
Right.
But it's surprising. I mean, we are very unhealthy as a nation, but it does surprise me that people feel as good as they do considering how bad the food is. Yep.
There's probably like a million societal and economic reasons for that to happen. So I don't get picky about that. We have it so that breakfasts are sort of automatic, and lunches, Dave makes our lunches every day and makes us a salad. I was eating it when you got here, and I'll finish it when you leave. But so he makes us salads. The kids take like a peanut butter sandwich and fresh raspberries. They love fresh fruit like that. Frozen blueberries, because those are hard to get in season. So Ingrid loves to eat frozen blueberries because by the time she eats them, they're no longer frozen. What else? Applesauce, which is not homemade. Things like that. That's what they end up taking. Cheese sticks. I also don't like the fat-free cheese. Like if it's going to be cheese, I want it to be cheese.
Right.
I want it to be real cheese, real food. And not ice cream, so you don't do dairy. But one thing to look for, even when you're buying treats, when you look at the ice cream, a lot of them now will say frozen dessert treat or something. And it doesn't say ice cream because it doesn't have enough milk to be ice cream.
Oh, interesting.
So Gifford's is one that is still ice cream.
I love, and that's the problem. I love ice cream. And Gifford's is my favorite place. I love that place. But it doesn't settle well with me. I really shouldn't eat it.
Right.
But I do on occasion. I do. I love Gifford's.
So this topic came up because at my work, so this is audio, so you can't, we have faces for audio. Well, Kelley doesn't. Kelley could be on TV. Could be a great TV host.
Please. I would love to be a news reporter.
I can see you doing it with the mic.
It'd be so fun.
But so my workplace is starting up a Weight Watchers program. And so the same day that we started discussing a possible tropical vacation with my family, there was this Weight Watchers meeting. And I was like, well, this is good timing. And so I went to the meeting, and I think we're going to run it, and I'm going to do it. And I have done it before. After I quit smoking, I gained a lot of weight. If I could just smoke, I think I'd be fine. But I don't know how that would work for my health benefits. Kelley, maybe you can clarify.
There actually are some articles that say, I shouldn't say this is terrible because I would never want to endorse smoking, but obesity is almost as negative of a health effect as smoking.
So I might as well just smoke.
No, don't smoke.
What if it's organic smoking?
I think if we could find a way to make smoking healthy.
Yep. So, and I totally believe it, but I gained weight after smoking, and I feel like turning 40 really, like, everything shifted around. Everything became so much harder. So after I quit smoking, I lost weight before I got married doing Weight Watchers, and I've gone back and forth at different times. And so now I'm like, all right, I need to go back. And my motivation is 100% not about looking good in a bathing suit on a tropical vacation. Right. It's about chasing after my kids on a tropical vacation. It's about just being healthy. Like, it really is about that, but it is also really hard when I feel like there's also, have you seen the research like about, I'll have to find this one, but have you seen the things about like fecal transplants?
No.
Have you ever heard about that? No? So fecal...
Well, tell me more. Maybe you're calling it something different.
Well, it's about your gut bacteria.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay.
So one of them is... So there was this one thing where a woman who was very thin had a fecal transplant from a woman who was very overweight, and like she gained like 40 pounds because it shifted her gut bacteria. And I feel like... And so that was like, what they were saying is that there's more to this than just what you eat and what your body is and all of that, like all the probiotics and all that kind of stuff, and that there are people who are just always going to struggle with it. And there was this great article, and I'm going to post it, that was written by, her name is Cassie St. Ange, and she wrote it a few years ago, and she was talking about when Oprah bought Weight Watchers, and she was saying, look, Oprah has all the money in the world. She could hire people to feed her whatever she wanted. She could hire cooks. She could have someone else, because when I look at your list of what you avoid in the grocery store, and I know that you've done it enough that you know exactly that your shopping trips are automated now. Right. But I'm like, I would die in a Hannaford. I would be reported missing, and they'd do find my friends, and I would be 3 feet in the door going, I don't know, it's red, but it's natural red, and it's organic, but it's also, oh shit, I don't know. So Oprah could like not even have to think about it and just wake up every morning and be served exactly what she needs to maintain. But even she still sucks at it. Mm-hmm. Like, she still fights with it. And so I'm kind of like, and maybe this is just like the thing I'm going to bear my whole life, but whatever. So I'm still going to do the Weight Watchers thing. I was actually saying to a friend, I said, part of it is, there's like, and Weight Watchers I feel like they have good nutrition backing up their plan. Would you agree?
Yeah. So in terms of all the diets, I hate the idea of diet. Weight Watchers would be the only one I'd ever recommend to anybody, because even though I just read off a list of all the things I try to avoid, I don't like anything. I know this is going to sound hypocritical.
Well, we'll find out. Continue, and I'll tell you if you're right.
I don't like extreme diets where you have to eliminate full food groups. Yes, I try to reduce dairy because of health reasons.
Well, it's like why I reduce clams. If I have a clam, I throw up, so I don't eat clams.
Exactly. So I do reduce dairy because of health reasons. And then all those other rules are more around the type of food. It's not that I would avoid a cracker altogether. It's just that I don't want them filled with crap. So, but a lot of diets are so extreme. They want you to totally eliminate full food groups, or like Jenny Craig, although I've had friends do Jenny Craig and have it be very successful. I hate Jenny Craig because these meals are packed with so much sodium. Or even the frozen dinners, for even the Weight Watchers frozen dinners are concerning to me. But I know it's better sometimes for convenience. I know you got to balance all of these things. But Weight Watchers is like, hey, you know what? You can eat what you want, but you just got to portion control, basically.
It's kind of like you need a budget. Like, just take a minute and think about this. And so the other thing that I think is good for me, and I was telling my friend, I said the other part is that when there's a whole group at work that's doing it, then there's a certain amount of shame if you head to the grill for a muffin at 2 p.m. That I said, and I have no shame admitting that. And then I was like, so I have no shame admitting that shame is a motivator in a group weight loss work situation or something.
Well, I mean, the effect of your social group, there's a lot of research on this social contagion. So you're more likely to smoke, to be overweight, basically any variable if you're directly connected to someone else who does or does not do that. And this is my argument about the school, and I know I've gone off on it and been shut down. And I understand why, but at the same time, it's like my kid who is 6 years old and never had chocolate milk, but suddenly he goes to school and everyone's drinking chocolate milk. Now he begs for chocolate milk every night, but it's really not healthy for you. Like, he'd drink regular milk, but now because everyone else is drinking chocolate milk, he wants to drink chocolate milk. So, I mean, I think that health behaviors go positively or negatively depending on your social group. So absolutely, workplace wellness. That's why workplace wellness programs were heavily funded with Affordable Care Act, because the theory is the social contagion.
Although they're fighting the theory isn't.
Oh no, they're not working. But you know, I believe they're not working. You know why I believe they're not working? Because I don't believe that people who are running them are educated enough on population health and what actually works and doesn't work. I think it's all backward. That could be its own podcast.
Well, there was this whole thing one thing that came out at our wellness is through our health insurance company, and it has these 7 you can earn. They were like, if you earn 5 points, we're going to enter you for a gift certificate. If you earn 7, we're going to enter you twice for the gift certificate or whatever. And I was like, sweet, I'll do it. And it was like these little online classes that were wicked stupid.
Yeah.
So one was like how to shop at the grocery store, and I like, there was a video, and I was like, I'm just going to take the quiz because I bet I know. And it's all the shop on the periphery, avoid processed foods. Like, no shit. Right. So I did that, but then like another one to get a point was a 4-week how to quit smoking, and you had to quit smoking. But I was like, I can't earn the point because I quit smoking 20 years ago.
Right.
So it was kind of like this. So, but I feel like they didn't even look at what the options were. So the only person who's going to be able to get 7 points has to currently be overweight and a smoker and quit smoking and do the weight loss thing. But I was like,
the interventions for wellness programs are so frustrating because, like for mine, you have to meet with a wellness coach or have your annual physical. Okay, well, having an annual physical is good for some people. Of course I advocate and endorse an annual physical, but I had an annual physical with my OBGYN and my primary care provider in the fall. Well, now we're on a new cycle, wellness cycle. So now I can either do that. Why would I do that again? I literally just had one in October. That's overuse of resources. Or you can meet with a health coach. Well, I've never done the health coach one, which I'm going to do this time, but my husband's been doing it, and he's timed the meetings. They have been as short as 2 minutes. I mean, how is that helping affect
the other one
health?
too is that sometimes they'll have goals that are, you need to set a goal and like, well, what could the goal even be? Because I already have and I've heard this happen to other people. It's not me, but I'm at a healthy weight. I exercise. I have all my blood levels are good. What am I supposed to do now to improve? And the people who are already in good health don't get rewarded. So it's just a weird thing.
No, anyway. I agree. They're targeting, it really does target. The goal is to get people not smoking or obesity or even chronic disease. So, and I think, and we're diverting a little bit, but I do think this is one of the reasons why Affordable Care Act became so expensive. because instead of promoting public health and healthy environments and looking at things that would make a population...
School lunch.
Yes, school lunch. Or let's say bringing flu immunizations to schools and actually offering it at the school, and promoting things like hand hygiene in the schools. I mean, I'm really targeting the schools right now, but any place where people congregate, let's get access to preventative health and basic interventions to where people are. We didn't focus on public health so much. We did focus on, quote, preventative health, but it was all about what could be billable. So now all these preventative services that were required to be included under the insurances, people were just getting them over and over and over when maybe you really don't need to have these screenings and this and that every day. Maybe it'd be better... Maybe we can make a bigger impact if we focus on basic things like hand hygiene and immunizations.
Oh my God. And right now it's flu season and
oh my God.
I'm like, the girls have the Valentine's Day dad dance on Saturday, and I'm just like, keep it away till Sunday. Just stay healthy till Sunday. This is like, they look forward to this all year. But, and yes, with the vaccinations, like, get a vaccination. We have a clinic at work, which is awesome. I go down, and Dave has a clinic at work, and then I have to make an appointment to take my kids in to get it at the peds office. Like, because you can't do it even at Rite Aid or Walgreens. They won't do ped shots. They only do adults. Oh. So I am fortunate enough that is not a problem for me. I have the transportation. I have the insurance. I have a primary care provider for my kids. All of those things are not givens for people.
Exactly.
I have the flexibility that if I have to be a little late to work because I took my kids in for a flu shot, that's okay. All of those things are those are all privileges that I have that not everyone does. Whereas if you just said, hey, sign the waiver, can we give your kid a flu shot, and you just line them up at school, boom, boom, boom.
Right. I mean, they are 98% of children go to school.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they get a ride to school for free.
Right.
So there's access to health care through school if we maximized it. But we've got this weird controversy. I don't know what it is about, that the schools just, some schools are, some schools aren't. It's really odd, but they're not we don't have as focus on providing health at school. Basic health. And the thing is, it could prevent everybody. Like, the more kids who get vaccinated or wash their hands or prevent disease transmission positively affects all of us.
Like, I remember when I was in school, like, I'm thinking about this. So one of the things in middle school is to do school sports, you have to have a physical and be signed off on by your doctor to have it done. And so the timing, like, my kids' physicals happen over the spring and summer. And so knowing that, I just had them fill out the paperwork, and you just have to do it once. It's on file. It's done. But I know that there was at least one or two of Ingrid's friends who wanted to do a sport with her and couldn't because they didn't have their paperwork. When I was in school, we used to have a doctor come in and do those at school.
Yeah, me too.
To get the paperwork done. And I'm guessing they don't do that anymore. But then this is like a big diversion. But then if a student in sixth grade is therefore forbidden to participate in a sport that they otherwise wouldn't participate in, then they never participate in it, and maybe they never get that love for physical activity. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, that's the thing. I think the reason why I always go back to school health is because I have been researching older adults, and I guess the epiphany I had through this deep dive into older adult health, and this is adults over age 65 and wellness and behavioral wellness and preventing Alzheimer's and all this stuff, I realized, what are we doing? We shouldn't be focusing on this when someone's 65. Not that we shouldn't focus on older adult health and wellness. This is not what I'm trying to say, but I'm trying to say...
Call me an older adult?
No, I said over 65. Over 65.
This is just going to be our running joke.
Over 65. But if we poured all our resources into child health, we wouldn't need to worry about the number of chronic conditions older adults have and how the heck we're going to fix them. Let's just think upstream and prevent it from the get-go. And it's better for everybody. It's better for our academic outcomes. It's better for societal outcomes. It actually protects the health of the entire community, because if kids aren't getting the flu, then our risk of getting the flu is less, and on and on and on it goes. So I just don't know why we haven't capitalized on the school as a place to intensely promote health and prevent disease. And I think that if had Affordable Care Act had really focused on that, maybe we'd see something different with the cost. Because it's still now, even with access to healthcare, you still have to drive to a provider. You have to have a PCP. You have to go someplace to get these preventative services.
Right.
Whereas if we could just offer them, and I mean, think about how low cost that would be.
Well, there is a school in our city that does have a dental clinic in the school, and I correct me if I'm wrong, or if you know, this is really me winging it, but I believe with the Affordable Care Act, I don't know if that's when they allowed it, but children get dental coverage if they have Medicaid. I don't know if that started with the ACA or if that was already in place.
I'm not sure.
But adults don't. And so that was one of the things that they've been trying to get that law changed. And with their new administration, they just want poor people to die. So that probably won't happen. But when I had a tour of the dental clinics, I had a tour of the dental clinics with the leadership program, and they were talking about that and how they have kids. So the in-school dental clinic is in a school that has a high ratio of free and reduced lunch. Students can make an appointment. They go down the hall. They get their teeth cleaned. They get their fluoride treatments. They get it all done there with a note from their parent, and they go back to class. And making that access has been huge for that population because otherwise it's have a dentist, have an appointment. Just getting there can be a barrier. So having it in class. So the same thing with health, like, especially with middle school, set up, bring in the clinic to do the basic health exam and parents I would sign a waiver, if I had to do it.
Me too.
I think parents would do that. So yeah, definitely. So the other part, so this going back to like the food and the weight thing, there's also another article that just came out that I saw that basically said, stop thinking about exercise as a way to lose weight and look at it as a way to be healthy. Which I totally agree, because I'm a pretty active person, but I'm still fat. So here I am, and I don't, but I still do stuff. But I also try to stress sort of body positivity, and maybe more so because I have girls, but I never want my body to be the reason I don't do something, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I saw this woman on Facebook who's older, she's retired, and someone was posting about a beach vacation or something, and she made a comment and said, oh, I haven't had a bathing suit on in 10 years. I'm not going to put this body in one. And I just thought, oh my God, that's so sad. And maybe there's other reasons, but the gist was I'm too big to swim was the gist. Like, I don't want to put on a bathing suit was the idea that I got. And I was thinking, I put like one, hey, we're going to the pool. Sure, I'll go. And I might be the biggest one in the pool or of my friends. And I'm in the pool and I'm there and I'm hanging out and I'm swimming with my kids and I go to the lake. Yep, I'm in the water. I don't flinch at that. My mom also is like that. My mom is also overweight, but she's always talked about it. My whole life she's talked about it. Every time I talk to her, she brings it up. And I'll say, stop talking about it. You're more than this. Like, yep, you're overweight. I'm overweight. You've been overweight my whole life. That's just how it is. But you also ski and walk. She walks 4 miles a day in the summer, and she skis every day in the winter. And she goes to they have a fitness club at their ski place, and they go down there, and like, they're very active, very social, very healthy, and she's overweight, but she doesn't sit back and say, oh, I can't participate because I'm too big, but she'll still talk about it. So I'm the same way. Like, I don't stand back because I feel like I'm too big or I don't want to be seen in a bathing suit, but I also don't talk about it, especially in front of my kids. Like, nope. This is my body. And they'll say, and as they get older, like, they know that when Ingrid was like in kindergarten, she came to me and she said, Susie's mom says, or Susie told me my mom is fat. Are you fat? And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like,
terrible.
I said, I have a bigger body than some people, but some people have bigger bodies than me, but I'm strong and I do. And like, I've always approached it in that everybody's different and this is what mine is. And then Willow loves, she's like, oh, you're so squishy, so soft. And she I think she would be super pissed if I all of a sudden had like washboard abs. She'd be like, whatever. How am I going to snuggle this? But Willa has recently said a few things. Like when she gets really mad at me, she's like, "You're fat," and I'm like, "I am strong and I am healthy, and everybody has a different body." Is my mantra with them, because I don't want them to grow up and feel like there's only one way to be. I want them to be strong and healthy and feel like their body is strong and can do what it wants to do.
Yeah, I used to be much worse about it after Maxwell. So I've never gone back to my pant size that I was at.
Please don't say when you were pregnant.
Before before Cameron. Before Cameron. I don't know if it was metabolism or like you were saying that there's a lot that goes into weight. It's not just what you eat specifically, but with Cameron, I gained just the exact amount, the 25 pounds. I had lost all the weight within 2 weeks. But with Maxwell, I gained a lot more weight. I gained over 35, and then I had a wicked hard time losing it. And I never went back to the pant size that I was at with Cameron. And I used to obsess about it a lot more. Like, I still can feel it if I gain too much weight. And last summer, I had a real hard problem because I was taking some supplements for my hormone unregulated hormone issue, and it really made me bloat, and I felt very uncomfortable. But I think I have a much healthier outlook. Like, you know what? I'm a mom. You don't have to be skinny. You're not gonna be how you were when you were 22 before you birthed 2 kids and then breastfed them for 2 years each,
right,
and managed all these other things, and you don't have as much time. I mean, when I used to do wellness coaching before kids, almost all the clients were parents, and they'd always come in and say, well, I don't have time to exercise because of my kids. And I used to get annoyed by it in my head. Like, you can't blame this on your kids. That's not fair to them. But I totally see it now. I mean, I still exercise, but not nearly as much as I used to before kids, because we have all these other obligations.
Right. And the only way I can exercise is if I go at 5 a.m.
Right. Exactly.
If I get up early and leave the kids. And even then, like I'm like this, I'm literally a fair weather exerciser. So every time we have this podcast, we talk about the weather. So there's a big storm coming. If I know there's a big storm coming, I don't have a garage. Also something we talk about in this podcast. So I will not, I'll text my friend and be like, I'm not going to get up and shovel out my car at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. And I really have to be able to just get up, walk out the door, get in the car, and drive to the gym. Like, and so I know that's super lame, but this time of year I can't do it.
Yeah.
But that's when I can do it. And then it's, and then in summer is easier because you can ride your bike or do all that.
You can walk. Like, I could walk over here in the summer, where, I mean, it's been so cold.
Or walking at work.
That too.
One of the wellness things that they did at work, and they did it a long time ago, so I hope that they still know that they did this. But they said everybody got an extra 15-minute break for walking.
Yeah.
So that you could get up and go for a walk. And so in the summer, when it's nice out and I'm at work, I take advantage of that pretty regularly and take headphones, or if I have a friend, we'll walk together and we have a route and we know the routes. Like, there's a mile route and there's like a half-mile route, and it's nice just to get out. I keep sneakers and socks under my desk just to be able to do that, which is really nice. A nice wellness perk. And that one's like, doesn't cost a thing.
Exactly.
Like, it didn't cost anything, but just having that freedom of, and especially for, I mean, I'm a salaried employee, but for an hourly employee, if they knew they could get up and take a 15-minute walk, an extra one, then they will. So I thought that was pretty good. But there's also there's a podcast that I love called, it's a radio show and a podcast, This American Life. And they did a great episode that it was great. And it was called Tell Me I'm Fat. And it was all about one woman who had weight loss surgery in her life before and after, and one woman who is overweight. And then there was one who was Roxane Gay, who is an amazing writer, and she's fabulous. But she talked about how there's 2 kinds of fat. There's Lane Bryant fat, and then there's not Lane Bryant fat. So
I do agree with you. Sometimes I see the ads and people are not at a healthy weight, but they look so good.
Right.
I mean, I don't get how they look that good.
Well, and then there's
like tight fat.
Or there's,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and then there's her blog is under the Mirna Valerio or something like that. I'll link that one too. And she is an overweight woman who runs marathons and has all of her numbers are perfect except for that she's overweight, and she runs miles and miles and miles a day, and she eats healthy, and she's like, this is just how I am. My doctors have looked at it like this is just how I am, which goes back to that thing about gut bacteria and how this sometimes is just how you are. Mm-hmm. But she takes a picture every day of her runs, and she does trail running. She did a 100-mile trail run, and she's strong and she's healthy, and everybody has a different body. Mm-hmm. So part of it is, so doing the Weight Watchers thing at work is just sort of like just like you need a budget. Like, okay, where am I actually eating my calories here? Yeah. Where are they coming from? Just whatever's happening. And I am a sucker for a group activity.
Yeah, you are.
I like being involved. So I figured I'd try that and see what's going to happen. But it's also not, the other thing too is that I think that, and I don't think you're like this, but I think some people can set up these rules and it almost becomes a form of an eating disorder.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
This is what I'm saying about my leniency with it. I mean, I do not get stressed about it if I'm out at a restaurant or I'm at your house and you offer me something I'm not going to sit there and ask you, did this have red dye number 4? I would never.
Do you have the label?
For the food I buy at my house and we eat the primary food that I'm eating most of the time, that's what I like to purchase, but I'm not extreme about it. And the other thing is I want to make sure that I don't instill like some kind of odd eating issue with my kids.
Right.
Because my son, he really wants a chocolate milk. That's why I bought him the apple juice. And I try to talk to him about it reasonably every day. And I go on, these foods are healthy and they're nutritious and that helps prevent disease and makes you strong and it makes your brain smart and this and that. So the other day we were at a birthday party and
oh God. Your brain's not smart.
Oh my gosh. And there were Dorito chips and popcorn and all the kids were taking some, and Cameron looked to his friend next to him and he said he got mostly popcorn and a couple Dorito chips. And he said, I'm not going to eat too many Dorito chips today because I'm trying to be healthy.
So one of the things that we've done is...
James goes, great. You're going to make our kid seem like a weirdo. But I'm trying not to.
He was like 80 popcorn, exactly. 20 Doritos.
He's like, I'm going to have a couple Doritos, but I'm trying to be healthy. Like, I want him to understand what healthy means. And I don't want it to be this, you have to be on a diet to be... Right. To be healthy. I hate that. So
the other, so two things. So first of all, the girls' birthday party is one of the big things that they love about a birthday party is that they get to have Cheetos, because we don't buy that stuff and keep it in the house, And there was one year where I bought the big bag of Cheetos, which I learned never again, and I dumped the Cheetos into a bowl, and it was like vultures on a freshly killed cow, and the Cheetos were just gone, and Ingrid was like, Mom, I never even got one. All the kids ate them before she even got one. I was like, we'll get another bag. It's okay.
Well, they're so good.
So now what I do for those parties is I buy a flat with all the individual bags. So that not one kid is not housing the whole jumbo bag of Cheetos before the birthday girl even picks her way through the crowd. And the other thing about Weight Watchers and eating and stuff, the other thing that I don't do that I don't want to do is eat separate from my family.
Yes, I'm glad you brought this point up, because a lot of times I'll hear people say, and this is my greatest pet peeve. I have a hard time not saying something, but I usually try not to because it's none of my business.
About to say it now.
But I'm going to say it now, is when I say I'm preparing food or I'm at someone else's house and I see them preparing themselves something super healthy, like a piece of chicken, a broccoli, and a sweet potato. But then they'll make their kids like a macaroni and cheese and hot dog, and they'll say, they're fine. They don't need to eat this stuff.
Yeah.
Referring to the healthy food. And I'm like, this is what's wrong with our society, is that we have linked healthy food to weight. And that, I think, is where we went all wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm totally with you. We all eat the same food. Now, granted, my kids have become increasingly more picky, so sometimes I do have to modify what I'm feeding them, but it's not because I'm modifying to feed them crap when we're eating healthy.
Have you read Ellen Satter's Child of Mine?
No.
It's a feeding book that I love, and Ingrid now pretty much eats everything we eat. Willa will still be super picky. But like one of the reasons I like plated meals is because you can deconstruct them. So like if we'll say like mix all this together, and for the kids I won't. I'll put it like in 3 separate pieces on the plate. I'll be like, you can mix it all together, and Ingrid now pretty much will, or Willa might eat like 2 out of the 3 things. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then if that's the case, then she gets like a turkey sandwich, and that's it. Like it's not, it's, you're not going to get ice cream.
Exactly.
Because you didn't eat that. Although Ellen Satter would say, let him eat the ice cream. It's interesting. It's an interesting book. You would love it, I think, actually.
I should read it.
It's about feeding kids and how they build up their palate, and then it goes straight to hell, and then it builds back up again. You have to offer food like 12 times before they'll start to eat it. Stuff like that. But what I mean about the separate food too is that I don't want to make a plated meal and then heat up a Weight Watchers frozen meal and sit there at the table and eat that, or make it obvious. Instead, it would be like the same deconstructed thing, whereas like, okay, here's the meal. I'm going to have less rice and more chicken or whatever, and just adjust it so that it's not mom has to eat that because she's fat.
Exactly.
Right.
Totally agree. I actually think as a society, we have created our weight. We have an obesity epidemic in the country. And I think a lot of that is created simply by the way we educate and teach kids about what it means to eat healthy.
The federal hot lunch program is, and my kids take hot lunch because it's easy. And honestly, hot lunch is one of the things that helped Ingrid try new foods when she was littler. Now she won't take it. She does, but she makes her own lunch, or we make her a lunch. The goal is for her to make her own lunch, but lately we've been making it more for her.
And not to totally attack the USDA school lunch program, because it is better. I mean, believe it or not, it's better than what it used to be.
They're trying to kill it though, because
I saw that. It's still terrible in my book. Mm-hmm. Because the other thing that bothers me about it is they'll feed them foods like beans, baked beans. They're on the menu every other day. I mean, do you know any kid that likes baked beans?
I loved them when I was a kid.
You did? Oh, maybe it's just my kids. Because I worry when I send my kid. He can pick out lunch once a week. And I swear every time he picks it, it's beans. So I'll ask him what he ate, and he'll only eat the main thing because he never likes the sides.
I remember when I was teaching, we had a salad bar, which was awesome, and you could get it as a teacher. So I did that. But I remember watching a kid one day. I think you've heard this story, but I watched a kid fill his little tray, and he filled like 3 pockets with butterscotch pudding. And he filled the other 2 with bacon bits.
Oh my gosh.
And that was his lunch. And I was like, that kid went home and his mom said, what'd you have at school today?
The salad bar.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I had salad bar. And she's like, oh, my child is so healthy. I've put such good, and it was, or the other one, I remember doing a nutrition lesson with my students. One drank they call them bug juice, like the little barrel shaped sugar water.
Those
blue.
Are off my...
Oh, those are not in my house.
Those are like red dye number 40, red dye number 5.
Plus high fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn. I mean, there's no nutrient in those.
But this was a kid from a family who, low information.
Yeah.
And they really thought they were sending their kid juice every day and thought that this was a healthy choice, that he was getting juice every day.
Yeah.
And then we did one where we had them cut out labels from stuff they ate during the week. And then I brought in, you would love this one. I brought in like a 10-pound bag of sugar and like a couple huge things of Crisco and had them measure out the fat and sugar in each of their things. And
that's awesome.
They had to, so that was like McDonald's hash brown was like 17 pounds of fat. And they did this display of what are you really eating? What's in the honey buns that you're getting from the cafeteria at snack time? And it was like 6 billion grams of sugar, and they fill up a barrel and put the label on it. But it was like this whole thing where they had to like actually measure it out, and they learned like, so it was also like tied in with units of measurement and teaspoons versus grams and weight and all of that kind of stuff. But it was a really interesting, I bet those kids, and that was 15 years ago, I bet those kids that had that class still remember that, because it was like such a whoa. It was
I love it. And I mean, I think the school does have an obligation, sadly. I mean, it's too bad it has to come to this, but I think it is important to educate about all of these issues related to health. Because like for me, I came from a low SES family, and I started learning about nutrition in high school.
What made you learn about it?
I don't know. Something interested me. I was in a class and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then
Did you have... So here's one that I've noticed as an adult that I noticed a while ago. There was never size 0 pants when I was in high school.
There was when I was in high school.
Or 00.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is so... I don't know. I feel like when I look at that, I'm like, I feel like you're setting up girls for a goal for an eating disorder. Like, I am not anything until I'm actually literally nothing.
Till I'm 0.
I gotta be a 00, size 00. I wish I would just do the sizes like men. Like,
32,
this is my waist.
36. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, because nobody's waist is 0.
Yeah.
So stop putting a destination goalpost of 0 on pants that are marketed towards 14-year-old girls. It drives me batshit.
I never
crazy.
thought about that, but it's a great point.
So anyway, and also trying to just like, I mean, as body positive as I try to be, I hate shopping. I hate it so much.
I hate shopping too. Because
I feel like I'm short and I'm round and things either are too long or it's just always a nightmare. So I'm envious of those. I can just be like, oh, this is, and I don't even get hung up on the number, really, because the numbers are different in every store. But I don't know, except for the zeros. I'm like, come on now.
I do wish we did it like men because it's tough because at one store you could be one size and then you could try, especially for us now because we have to order so many things online.
Oh, yeah. That
you could order that same size at a different company and you could try it on and it doesn't fit you at all. And then you get it's like a psychological thing.
Dave is actually a hard one. Like, even he's a man, but it's hard to buy for shirts because he works out and is kind of like a triangle shape. So he doesn't like mediums are sometimes too big, but smalls are too small. But then at one point he was like, well, I think that the only shirt that really fits are mediums, but only if they say made in Bangladesh. Like a Bangladesh medium was what worked, but a Vietnam medium was like, no, it was too big. And it is hard. Like, if it fits around his shoulders and his arms, then sometimes it's huge around his waist just because of the way he's built. I'm like, yeah, welcome to every other part of my body. This is exactly how I am getting dressed every day. I like summer better now that I've found the magic of the skort. I love my skorts. It's like easy peasy, long pants, because skorts don't care if you're short. They don't care.
Well, I wear dresses almost every day because they're forgiving, they're comfortable, and it's one outfit.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think, oh, what am I going to match with these pants? And it's cold out. I'm going to need a cover sweater or something, a blazer. But with a dress, you just put the dress on.
There you go. Dressed.
Comfortable.
Done. Exactly. So are you ready for favorite things?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So I have this new favorite thing. It is awesome. It's called honey. Do you have it? Honey. Okay. So I
have it in my tea.
Okay. So honey, it's this button and you probably know the actual name of it. You know when you can put a button on your,
an extension?
Bookmark?
Yeah, it's an extension.
Okay. So you can get
on your browser.
On your browser. Yeah, and you can also get it for Amazon. So it's awesome. So yesterday or the day before, I don't remember, I made a big Amazon order. And before I went to pay, honey searched all of Amazon and then alerted me to items I had in my cart that were less expensive from another seller. Same item.
Oh, nice.
But it was a better deal. So and then you just click one button and it will swap it out of your cart for you for the item that is less expensive. So then I did Talbot's is having their annual major 80% off sale. So I had a little run-in with our local Talbot, so I've decided to start shopping online. They really irritated me one day, so I'm so frustrated by them. So anyway, I made my order online. So I had my items in the cart, and then I pushed my honey button. My order went from $80 to $56.
Wow.
Actually, no, I think it was $52. It was $18 savings. Yeah, it was $52 because it searched for like any available coupon code. So I ended up getting free shipping, which was $8, and they found a 25% off coupon code. So it just dropped my order even less, and I still was able to use my merchandise credit from Card Cash.
Nice.
So you got to get it. It's awesome. It does all the work for you.
I wonder how that works with Ebates, because I use Ebates too.
Oh, you use Ebates. I've never used Ebates. Maybe it's similar to Ebates.
It sounds sort of similar, so I'll install it. I'll try it.
Yeah, let me know.
So my favorite thing this week, Kelley already knows what it is because I texted her.
This kind of goes along with our.
It goes around with all of our health and stuff. Yeah. Is telemedicine, and the specific service that I used is called Doctor on Demand. So I have it's more complicated than this, but I have recurrent cold sores, and I think I was complaining about feeling weird when we recorded last week. And so I was like feeling weird, and then it burst into a cold sore. And then I could feel it going across is it trigeminal nerve?
Yep.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But that's where they end up. So I could feel the tingling on my jawline, and the cold sore was on my lip, which is not usually where I get mine. I usually get them on my eyes, but isn't that pretty? But anyway, I could feel it on my chin, and I was like, oh my God. And it was Friday night, and I was literally antsy because of the pain in my head. And I had texted Kelley. I was like, is there anything to make my lymph nodes not hurt so much?
Well, she said she had a sore throat.
Well, it was, I could feel it all through my ears and eyes, and all of my lymph nodes were swollen up. I couldn't even touch. It was like this antsy. And it was stupid because it's like if you looked at me, I just had a cold sore on my lip.
But they're vicious.
Yeah, and Dave was like, "You need to go in. Like something is wrong." So, and I had thought about going in on Friday, but it was a snow day, so I didn't go in on Friday. And then I was like, "I'll just power through." And Friday night I was a wreck. And Dave was like, "You need to do something." But I did not want to go. Did not want to go to walk-in care because we're in widespread flu season right now. So I went. He took the kids. He's like, "Go to walk-in care." I'm taking the kids. He took them to see a movie. Went to the flea market and did all this stuff. And I took a shower. And it was literally a shower revelation. I was like, "Oh, we have that Doctor on Demand thing." And I had just removed the app from my phone because when we first got it, I added it like all excited and never used it. So when I got my new phone, I took it off. I was like, I'm never going to need that. So I came downstairs and I looked it up, and it was 20 minutes. So I sat down on my computer. I didn't even do it on my phone. Created the account. Do you have insurance? Yep. What's your insurance number? Here you go. Oh, because you have this insurance, it'll be $49. This is available to anyone without insurance. And if your insurance doesn't cover it, it's $75. And I know my walk-in care bill or a sick visit bill would be $103 with my insurance. So already it was half price. And I signed in, and I put in some basic health stuff, the medications I take, my age, my gender, my name, all that kind of stuff. And then connecting you to a doctor in 1 minute. And 1 minute later, boom, here's this lady. And she's like, I just read your records. I see you having an issue with cold sores. And I was like, yes, this is a recurring thing. I just need a prescription refilled to take care of it. But it's, Saturday, flu season, blah, blah, blah. She was like, okay. She had me feel my glands and stuff and my lymph nodes and all that. And she was very professional. I was like, just write down Valtrex here, call it in, we're good. So she went through the whole thing. Like, I just feel like I should defend her that she was really doing her job.
Yeah.
And so she went through the whole thing. She's like, all right, I'm going to call that in and I'm going to give you 2 extra refills and anything else. No, it was 20 minutes from the time that I opened my laptop to the end of the visit. The prescription was called in. I went and picked it up. I came home. I took it. It was like within hours, I started feeling better. And now I'm going to actually refill the prescription. So I just have it on hand. And it was great. And it was $49. I would have paid twice as much. I would have spent
5 times as long.
More than 5 times.
Because you would have triaged in at the lowest level because it's not an emergency.
And the last time I went to walk-in was when before our Disney trip, I was pretty confident I had influenza, and I get a shot every year, but it was one of those bad match years. And I was like, oh my God, I can't get the rest of my family sick. And I normally wouldn't go. And I went, and it was so empty. I thought they had forgotten about me, and I opened the door to look out. It was so quiet, and I was still there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so I would have been there for hours. So literally 20 minutes, comfort in my own home, no exposure to germs, half the price. It was amazing. Walgreens, on their app, they have a similar service called MD Live, and a lot of insurances will cover it, or it's a flat rate fee. And it is, so when I would use this is something like this. I know exactly what it is. I know what the solution is. The only thing between me and relief is a doctor appointment and a prescription. Perfect. If someone, like when you look at the list of things they do, like skin rashes,
ear infections.
I don't know if they do ear.
I thought mine said that ear infection.
It could. UTI. People who get UTIs usually get UTIs enough that they know that it's a UTI. Pink eye. If my kids had pink eye, I remember there was one time I had to deal with that. It's like they got pink eye at Sugarloaf, and I managed to convince my ped to call in a prescription for me. If I was on vacation, same thing. So if I was in Disney World and all of a sudden popped out with a cold sore, I don't want to go find an Orlando walk-in care and who knows where. I just want you to call in a prescription to the nearest Walgreens and I'll go get it. So it was amazing. There's different services that offer it. Check and see if your health insurance covers it, because I have an HSA. I paid the full $49. If I had the HMO, it would be like a $25 copay and covered by insurance. I cannot. It was like life changing, and I wish I had called them earlier in the week. It was awesome.
I think that for all the health reasons that they list too, you shouldn't be that nervous about using it, because they're medical doctors.
They're all doctors.
I mean, and we were just my brother's girlfriend and I were just talking about that because she's a nurse, and we were talking about assessment. I mean, most healthcare providers' assessment is quite astute, where they can look at you and say, all right, there's something more going on here than I can treat over MD Live. They would refer you to the ER. They're not going to put you at, I mean, hopefully they're not going to.
And I would assume that they probably don't prescribe narcotics. I probably couldn't roll it and be like,
it's gonna
my
be
tooth hurts, need some oxys.
limited.
But for those little things where you know what's happening, you just need. I was like the perfect best case scenario for this, and it was awesome, and I felt better. And then I mentioned about it, and my cousin is in Texas, and his wife posted their infant had gotten influenza, and then the rest of them started to fall. And so after the baby had gone to peds and been officially diagnosed, and she used the service and called in and said, we have influenza in the house. Like, yeah, you probably have it. Tamiflu, go pick it up. And that was it. Like, we're never going to bother. We don't need a swab because you've already entered the hot zone.
Yeah.
Just go get it. It was, so there are things that, like, if you had to, obviously you couldn't use it for a broken bone, things like that. But it was awesome.
But
I loved it.
She, when I was talking to her about this, she also said that one of the reasons why people are dying of influenza right now is because they're not getting treated, or they're writing off some of their symptoms and then not going in. And then when they finally go in, they're septic. Mm-hmm. So I think that just a little public service, just to be careful about your symptoms with influenza and not being treated. If you're...
Yeah, there was a woman in New Hampshire, like a healthy 38-year-old woman with no underlying conditions, who said, Tamiflu has bad side effects, which I took Tamiflu that time and I immediately started throwing up, and then I threw up like twice and then kept taking it and it was fine. But that's a known side effect. I Googled after I was like, it was like the weirdest, like, I'm fine. Oh my God, I'm not.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And I mean, some people just need fluids too. So So anyway, everyone's really hyped up about the flu right now.
And I think with them it was that the baby had it and then they felt it coming on and they were like, we need to stop. Like, we know what's coming.
That is different.
Yeah.
Totally. And then, of course, wash your hands.
Always we're not doctor. Well, actually, technically, Kelley is a doctor, but she's not a medical doctor. Yeah. If you would like a bibliography, talk to Kelley. But
this is not a medical show.
Yes.
Wash your hands, get a flu shot, and report to your local ER if you're having difficulty breathing.
Exactly. If you're having difficulty breathing right now,
call
please
911.
Hit pause. Call 911. It's like our voicemail at our doctor's office. All right. So it wraps it up for episode 19, and we'll keep you posted on what happens with the Weight Watchers and all of that. And you can find us on Facebook, where we share fun pictures and stories and stuff like that, and we're at Balancing Chaos on Facebook. And you can email us if you have any questions or anything that you'd like us to cover. Go ahead and email us at balancingchaospodcast@gmail.com. And if you want, you can always leave a review for us on iTunes or Stitcher. And until next week, bye.